A very pleasant good day, a very pleasant good day, my beloved brothers and sisters. A very pleasant good day, my beloved brothers and sisters in Christ and outside the body of Christ. Well, once again, this is your Christian brother Eric Braxton speaking to you all from his beloved country, Trinidad and Tobago, the land of my nativity, the land of my birth, Trinidad and Tobago, this wonderful island country that is in the blue Caribbean Sea, in in the month of October 2019. Brothers and sisters, I was watching a video about my English brother, Richard Dawkins. Richard Richard Dawkins, Dawkins. And he's an atheist. And he talked about his book that he have. Well, he's a writer, a publisher, and an author, but an atheist. He said his book, the name of his book is God Delusion. His book is God Delusion. I just want to say to my friend that 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 book that he have written, God Delusion, is not a good book. It is a bad book. And when the literature and read that book, you see, I have to start with the literature, and yes, my dear friend. When the children read about God did that book, they will not be learning the fear of God, how to grow up fearing God, keeping the laws, the precepts, the commandments of God. These children and them will say that God doesn't exist if they accept what Richard Dawkins has said. And these children will be disobedient to their parents, to the elders in the community, and society. And above all, they will be disobedient to the Creator God. He believes that is a decent and a noble book that he wrote and put it out there in the international community for all and sundry to read. But I don't want to read that book because he have denied the existence of God and saying God doesn't exist when the creation with a wonderful design show you that God exists. This book, the Holy Bible, the New Testament, you see this little book, the Holy Bible, with the teaching in this Bible, this tells you that God have produced the universe and he have created the universe. And this book is for all of mankind to know about the Creator God. In spite of many people are criticizing it, blasphemy, and finding fault with it, the Bible is the number one book. And the Bible will remain the number one book, household book in the world. That book that my dear friend Richard Dawkins have produced will never be the world number one book. And it cannot match up to the Bible. In spite of all the sales it will receive, I can assure Richard Dawkins that and all his fans on YouTube and throughout the world, for believe his books and swallow it down, lock, stock and jam, lock, stock and barrel. And they have rejected the holy words of God, the inspired words of God given to mankind. Because they find all sorts of fault, and only faults with God and his words. And when they say that God is intelligent and he's unwise and he's a dictator and he's a tyrant and blaspheming God and saying all these things. But don't you know the Bible, if you all read the book of James, it talk about men who speak great swelling big words against God? Yes, and he is fulfilling that on others. But I love him in spite he is doing that, and I want him to know that God loves him. But ladies and gentlemen, in spite I have said that about my dear English brother, I have listened to him carefully. I'm keeping a very close eye upon him. I could assure you all that. I'm listening to him and watching his videos. But with Richard Dawkins, I have observed something, and I want to share that observation with one and sundry, all and sundry. Brothers and sisters, the person was interviewing Richard Dawkins. The person asked him, if you die and in the resurrection you happen to see that you appear before God, what will you tell God? Will you deny that the person in front of you is not God? Richard Dawkins said, well, if I die and I end up seeing God, then I will ask God about the wonderful creation that he have created, and he want God to explain to him the wonderful things that God have created. You see that answer that Richard Dawkins have done there? I just want him to know I Eric Braxton, this little Christian boy, have welcomed that attitude that he have shown there by saying that if he get up in the resurrection, when God resurrect him and he see that God really exists, he will tell God he is fascinated by his creation and he want God to tell him about how he created the birds and the bees and all these things. Oh, yes, I welcome that. And he said he will ask God, how come you have concealed yourself, hide yourself all these times? God will give him the answer to all his questions. But I want to assure him that he don't have to die to get that answer from God. If he humble himself like a little child and go back and start to read the Bible and appreciate the teaching of the scriptures, God will reveal all these answers to him. So you don't have to wait till God redirect him to know that. Because all these questions, I know that. God who created the animals, he's a wonderful creator. It is he who created these things. And I want to answer that question to he. The reason why God is concealing himself, it is in the scriptures that God said he hiding himself from man. Yes, in the book of Isaiah. The reason why God is hiding himself from mankind, I mean, it came on the earth, Jesus Christ, God in human flesh, but I mean as a spirit being, right? As a being, you know why he's hiding himself, concealing himself from mankind? And yet revealing himself to mankind through nature and his words, the Bible? Is that sounds a contradiction? No contradiction. You see, man is so sinful, Richard Dawkins. Man is so sinful and man is evil and wicked. And God doesn't want to come down here as a spirit being and appear before mankind, and mankind in that sinful state. So therefore he has revealed his words to mankind, showing us that when we accept him by faith and live a holy and righteous life, when he do come, a certain percentage will be righteous. And these righteous people will be around God, and the ungodly people, the righteous people, will be teaching them. In other words, God doesn't want to come down here and live amongst sinful mankind. He wants to come down here and live amongst righteous mankind. That's why he's concealing himself to God from mankind. You all doesn't know that. Well, I'm teaching you all that because I learned that from the Bible. You see, when I was 5 and 6 years, I didn't understand that. But now I understand it, and I'm sharing the right information with you. In other words, if a house is dirty, God don't want to go in that dirty house. He wants to clean up the house and then go in it. So the house will be clean because he is clean. In other words, God is cleaning up mankind from sin. God is dealing with the sin problem. And when he deals with the sin problem, then he wants to come down here. When the place is clean up by him, then you will see him, God the Father. Yes, read it in the book of Revelation. Oh yes, the end of the 1,000 years, the big man himself, God the Father, is coming down. But of course, he sent Jesus Christ among sinful men. And when Jesus Christ come again, he will be among sinful men. It's true. But he will be amongst the righteous, the saints who will be priests and kings with him. Their lives will be clean up. They will be righteous. They will be priests and kings with him. And they will be around Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ will be using them now to teach the ungodly people within the 1,000 years to become righteous. You see, he's cleaning up the place. So that's why he's concealing himself amongst mankind. You see, God doesn't want to come down here and dwell amongst mankind, and he's not cleaning up the place. Because you see, he's a holy God, and he can't have a bunch of trillion and billions of ungodly people around he, and they remain ungodly, and he alone is righteous. No, that cannot work. So that's the reason why he's cleaning up mankind. If no preacher haven't tell you all this or teach you all that fact, this little Christian boy from the Caribbean, the West Indies, is teaching you all that. So now you all have learned it, and now I have revealed it to you all from the words of God. That's why he's concealing himself, but yet still revealing himself. So it's not no contradiction through his words, through his teaching, and of course sending Jesus Christ. Brothers and sisters. So I've given you all a little insight there. So Richard Dawkins, this book is a decent, a noble, and a clean book, the Holy Bible. But the Bible teaches about good and evil, brothers and sisters. And the Bible tells you to choose the good, reject the evil. And this book, brothers and sisters, is the books of all books, the Holy Bible. This book is a decent and noble, and it is called the Holy Bible. That book that you have wrote, Richard Dawkins, God delusion. God is not a delusion. God is real. And you need to throw away that book in the dustbin, in the dumpster. All of you who are buying Richard Dawkins books and discarding the Bible and reading his book as the authority. His book is no authority. That's his own philosophy and ideas, whether God exists or God doesn't exist, and his opinion and how he understands the world and how he interprets things. That book is not a decent book. Because if I, Eric Braxton, this little Christian boy, is invited to speak to the literature in any school of my country, to the literature in kindergarten school, why will I take Richard Dawkins books and go in there and tell the literature in front of the teachers that God doesn't exist, that God is a delusion? No, I will walk with the Holy Bible, the decent and noble book, the Bible, the words of God, and I will tell the literature in the classroom, literature, good day. This is Eric Braxton. He's invited by the principal to come to speak to you all because you are little boys and girls. And I will tell the little children, don't you know Jesus Christ said in the scriptures, suffer little children to come to me, for such is of the kingdom of heaven. And I will tell the little children, and forbid them not, for such is of the kingdom of heaven. I will tell the little children, Jesus Christ loves you, and he wants your little children to come to him by reading his word, so you know Jesus Christ. I will tell the little children that. But if I use Richard Dawkins books and go and tell the little children God doesn't exist, the children will be sad. And they will be in a state of astonishment and confoundedness when they find out. But our mommy and daddy have told us God exists, and we are reading the storybooks. The teacher last week have told us about Moses and have told us about about Noah and the flood and the wonderful animals that God have created, and he kept them in the flood alive when the flood came upon the earth. And now I come and tell them that God doesn't exist. The little children of them will be upset with me and they will be vexed. And the brave ones will tell the teacher, Miss, we do not want to listen what this fella is saying. And we do not want him to come back in the school to tell us the wrong thing. Because our principal read us about the wonderful story in Genesis where God took the wonderful animals with Noah and his family in the ark, and he took care of them. So when he bring them out after the flood, they multiply. Because they are the little boys and girls in the class, they have storybooks about the wonderful giraffe, the animals, and they see all the animals. The mother is taking the lioness, and the lion is taking care of the young one, and they are fascinated by that. And they have been told that God created these animals, and they welcome that. So Richard Dawkins, you want me to take your book to go and tell the little children that God did not create these wonderful animals, when the little children know that the animals are perfectly designed by him? Yes. So your book, Richard Dawkins, is not a decent and a noble book. The Holy Bible is a holy and decent and noble book. And I want all of you, all the atheists, to know that. And time to rally to that consciousness, that awareness. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ. So I'll hold it up at this juncture. I will continue in the next video. We will continue on this discussion. Shalom, peace. See you all in the next video soon. Bye bye, my friends.